Hello, I'm James Currie with the Communication Department here at MCHD. I'm talking to Dr. Mike Hoppe. He is the senior pastor at Saraland United Methodist Church in Saraland, Alabama. Mike, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Thank you for being on here. We're talking about the Enneagram system, and many people may not know about it. It's something you and I spoke about. This is a book that I got from the library, The Path Between Us, which is an Enneagram journey to healthy relationships. So the reason why we're talking about it is Enneagram, it goes back a long time, right? It's been around for a while.
It has.
And the significance of it is you take a little quiz online, which you pay for. We'll put the link to it. But the purpose of the quiz is for you to understand yourself, who you are, what's your personality type.
It is. It's one of several different ways of understanding your personality type, and I've done many of them over the years, Myers-Briggs and other kinds. But I've loved the Enneagram the most. For me personally, it's given me the most information, both about my understanding myself and how I tick, but also understanding the important relationships in my life and the other people that are around me.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, the Myers-Briggs. I took that test also too when I was going into college, and they stuck me in a 4-person dorm. The other 3 people didn't fit anything in my Myers-Briggs, profile. So I didn't put a lot of stock in that. But the Enneagram, I read the results, and boy, does it have me pegged. Now you are a type 1 person. So can you describe that a little bit?
Well, I'm a type 3. I'm a
Oh,
type
okay,
3
type 3.
person. There's 9 types, and so
Okay.
every person will fit into one of 9 types. Like you said, you can take a test. There's lots of them online. There's some free tests, some that you pay for. Some people recommend not taking a test and just really studying each of the 9 types and finding which one makes you blush the most or makes you just really resonates with you, because I really believe everyone will find the one that really matches them. But of the 9 types, I've identified myself as a number 3, and I'm married to a number 1.
Okay.
And so noticing the differences between a 3 and a 1 has really helped my marriage. It's been great for both of us, because even in tough times, I realize, oh, well, my wife's not just being difficult. She's just living out her personality. And then she'll see the same thing in me. I'm not just being difficult, just living out what it means to be a 3. So that's been really good for us.
Now we've been speaking in terms of numbers, which means absolutely nothing to anyone. But let's equate the numbers to personality type. So a type
Sure.
1 personality type is.
Sure. Yeah, and you'll find graphs online. It's like a wheel with 9 points. That's actually what the name Enneagram means, is a 9-pointed object. And
Mhm.
and so number 1 is known as the perfectionist. The number 1 likes to be good. That's kind of their core value. They want to be good at everything they do. They aren't there. And ones can play out their life in different ways, but they might be good in following the rules. They're a rule follower. They want everything kind of to be right and perfect in their life. They pursue justice in their world, and it really, really gets to them when people don't follow the rules, when people do things that are wrong in their opinions.
Mhm.
That's number 1, the perfectionist. And then number 2, number 2 is the helper. The number 2 person would be the kind of person that will jump right in to lend a hand. They'll be right there if you need them. They're really in tune with the emotions of the people in the room, and they sense that, and they'll be the first person to lend a hand. So if you know people like that, there's a good chance that that person might be a 2.
Mhm.
A number 3, a 3 person is the achiever. They're the person that likes to get the certificates, the awards, the recognition. They're the ones that work up the ladder at work. You often see sometimes bosses who want to achieve to be a number 3, or people working up in whatever they think is important, where they're going to get affirmation from other people, or to do the best in their field. That's a number 3.
Mhm.
Number 4 is called the individualist. And this is an interesting one for me. I think that one of my children is a 4. Individualists, number 4s, really feel like they want to stand out and be different from everyone else. So you kind of think of this stereotypical maybe poet sitting in the back corner of a coffee house, writing in their journal, and just a sense of melancholy comes over them. They kind of live out melancholy throughout their life. But a four wants to be different, and they think they're different than everyone else. A 5 is the investigator. 5s want to understand everything about how the world works around them. They want to know how things tick, how it works. They like information, so they can get lost in understanding how something works. They can get focused in on books or reading things and be oblivious to the world around them. And so that's a 5 investigator. A 6 is a loyalist. I've heard some people say there are more 6s than anything else. I haven't seen that to be true in my own life, but a 6 is a loyalist. They don't like to make waves. They like to join the crowd. They want to do what everyone else is doing to not cause conflict. There's also a side of them that's called skeptic, or fear is a big part of a 6 loyalist, but that's 6. 7 is the enthusiast. The enthusiast doesn't want to miss out on anything. They're looking for the fun. They want to try new things all the time. Part of a 7 is they try to avoid conflict, avoid negative things, but they want to be doing the fun things. And then an 8. An 8 is the challenger. There's some other ways of thinking of 8, that they're the boss. They're the person that comes in the room and they take charge. They tell people what to do, how it's to be done. They kind of come across as a little more aggressive and dominant than any of the other types. And then there's 9, the last one. That's called the Peacemaker. And 9s like everyone else to be at peace, but sometimes they lose themselves in that because they're trying to make everyone else around them happy. And so they're trying to make peace among other people, but sometimes they miss out on who they are as well. So that's really, really quick overview of all of them. You can look at YouTube videos, you can read the book. Like you had mentioned, there's some other great books out there on this, and I'm not an expert on it, but there are great resources, and I think it can help everyone to identify what your type is and the people in your life, what their type is, and see how those relationships interact.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning this to me, and I took the test, and we talked about it. What a shock! I'm a type 2 person. I'm a helper, and the results from that from the personality quiz, I felt like I was reading the story of my life.
Exactly. That's how I felt when I took it for the first time too.
Yeah, now there are other subsets, we won't go into it now, but there's different wings, and there's a good side and a bad side, of that personality, their Achilles heel, I guess, so to speak.
Sure.
But
And you can say that none of the types are better than any others. None are worse than any others. They're just personality types. But like you said, there's a description once you get deeper into it. There's a lot to know with Enneagram, but you can see how each type acts in moments of stress, and then how each type acts in moments when they're healthy. And so you can see a personality change in those different circumstances.
Yeah, and like we had talked about also too, it's important to know who you are as a person, because it helps you with your interpersonal relationships and your interactions, like you mentioned, with your family, with your wife, with your kids. I don't know, everyone else at that's on staff there at your church, you all took the personality test as well, so you all know what each other's personality types are, and it kind of helps you understand, okay, like, hey, she's always bringing me lunch. Okay, so maybe she's the helper, or something like
right.
that. But
That's
Mike,
right.
I appreciate the quick overview on the
Yeah.
Enneagram. We're going to have Stephen Shotgun back on with us probably at another date here in the immediate future. He's our behavioral health specialist, and he's going to kind of dive into a little bit as to why it's important to kind of know yourself from a behavioral health standpoint. Like we hit the cliff notes of it, obviously, but he's the professional. He's the one that counsels and helps people through these events.
Well, I really appreciate the health department being interested in something like this, because health, of course, is more than just physical health. It's mental health as well. But of course, from my perspective as a pastor, I believe spiritual health is also part of our whole of being healthy and whole, of understanding who we are at our core. So I appreciate you bringing light to some of these things, so people can get a better understanding who they are and how to achieve overall better health in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate, you, and also, the Methodist Church, partnering with us for, different events and helping us with COVID vaccinations. And I mean, just everything else we've done. And gosh, this truncated year we've had so far, but, we certainly appreciate the relationship. And, we'd love to have you back on to just talk about some of the other, aspects of wellness, since this is Wellness Wednesday. We'll talk about you as a runner also too, and how that helps your health, and why you do what you do, why you have to get out and get the fresh air and get in the outdoors, and
Sure.
get away from a desk.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help any way I can. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, thank you. You've been Dr. Mike Hoppe from Saraland United Methodist Church, and thank you all for watching Wellness Wednesday.